Alright, so I went riding over the weekend and it was quite muddy, so we did a little test here. We did an MX14, which is that tire right there, versus the MX82 in the soft scoop direction, the tire that I've been running. So let's break that down. First, the AT82 that I was running was a 120 by 90 by 18, and then this MX14 is a 100 by a 110 by 100 by 18. So a little bit narrower, a little bit taller is the MX14. I don't really notice that. Maybe a little bit of height there, but when you sit on the bike and when you're riding, I just don't think it's that noticeable enough to make like a sag adjustment or some sort of adjustment with the rear end. I just don't think it is. It's really muddy conditions, like I said, really sloppy in some areas, and then there's a lot of slop like on top, like that sliminess. Some of the trails were almost completely dry, and some were like destroyed. So with that being said, I ran today, or when I rode, I ran 12 PSI in both tires, just started out there, and that's what I always run. So I was like, okay, we'll start there with the 14. Brought the air compressor just in case, but I like that pressure even when I rode, so I just decided to keep it there. My first initial thought was, wow. Just like the connection to the rear tire that I felt, especially when it was muddy. So normally I feel pretty connected on the beta to my rear tire, but because of like the mud, I just felt really disconnected from the rear tire. Like I would have, throttle input and it just wasn't always there, or was too much or not enough. So that really was a benefit, especially in the mud. It was there too in the dry stuff, but especially in the mud. And then just cornering, like the progressive cornering. So when you would turn and the back end would want to slide out, it was a controlled slide. It wasn't just slide, break loose. It would just continue to slide, get you around the corner a little bit. Other than that, I know some people care about like mud release or like sand release. Like, is it gonna get all stuck with mud, and is it gonna clear the tire out? I didn't have an issue in deep mud or that sloppiness on top. It just seemed the tire kept clear and just had a really good release there, and then it allowed me to just stay fresh and keep riding. Contact feeling. So it just felt like a really solid base to ride on. Cornering and straight, I just felt with the connection to the rear tire that I felt with, just because of the traction that I was getting, is also with just the way it was riding. I felt like I was able to go faster in the straightaways and just have a really solid base to ride on, like a stability feeling almost. One of the cons would be tire comfort, if that's your thing, especially because I ride woods. So I'm riding woods and open stuff, some like wide open sections, or just like a little bit of like chop or roller-esque things. One of the things that you will lack, not in those areas, but in the woods, is comfort. So the tire just does feel stiffer than the AT82. I've heard that the 14 is much better than that MX12, the Dunlop MX12. So I haven't ridden with the MX12 in a long time, so I won't be able to tell you that because I didn't ride it back to back with this and the AT82. But what I will tell you is the AT82 obviously is a woods tire. And I call it almost like a hybrid woods tire because it feels very moto-esque plus woods. And it just feels like the MX14 is just much stiffer. It doesn't struggle in roots and rocks. It feels stiffer. Braking. Like I said, the slide on the corners was controlled, but getting there, braking, it just felt like it wanted to slide a little bit more. not that it was like unpredictable. It was like consistent. The slide was always consistent. So like if you're going in a straight line and you stomp on the rear brake, no matter what tire you're on, it's gonna slide. It felt like the MX14 wanted to slide a little bit faster. I don't know if that's just the tread design or what that is. But it just felt like I'd step on the rear brake and it would slide a little bit sooner than than the AT82. So that might be one thing you want to be wary about. If you're a person that rides and really likes to slide the rear end out in like flat corners, or you ride a lot of grass track and things that don't get real deep, maybe you want to stay away from the MX14 and go with an 82 in a scoop direction, because I feel like that's a very good setup. But you know, it's all about personal preference. Other than that, slow speed, like I said, you can feel that. You can just feel the ground a little bit more, like just a little bit of comfort is lacking in this tire, but that's to be expected. It's a little bit of a harder compound just to dig into that dirt and mud or sand or whatever you're riding in than the AT82, because that is a woods tire, like I said. So now I'll bring you a little closer. You'll be able to look at the 14. We'll look at the 82, and then for a bonus, we'll look at an 81 over there, just for reference. I have not ridden the 81, but my dad did, and he went from the 81 to the 82. Felt like there was a bit of a difference in straight line. The 82 is better in straight line than the 81, but cornering was a little lacking in the 82, and I thought that myself as well. Coming off some other tires. If you want to go check that out, my initial review of the 82 front and rear is over on my website, so go down in the link below to my website and you'll be able to read that. And so now we'll take a little look at these tires here. Alright, so like I said, this is the MX14. The tread is very aggressive on the tire. Really good side knob and like top of the knob. There's a lot of bridging here between the lugs, so although they are stiff, although they do move, they will not rip off. Some other tires, like I said, very aggressive. The knob is quite tall, and you do feel that a little bit if you're riding like really slow speed on like really hard packed stuff, or on like cement. You will find that the tire wants to hop and skip a little bit, but that's to be expected. There's a lot of like these like gussets or bridges, you might want to call them, or bracing, that they really clear the mud out very well. So like I said, mud removal is not something that I'd be too worried about with this tire. All right, let's go take a look at the 81 and 82. All right, so here on the left is the AT82, and on the right is the AT81. As you can see, the knobs on the left are a little bit more spaced out, and they're more like a bow tie scoop for traction in the deeper loam, and they also are reversible, so you can have a soft direction and a hard direction. This is in the soft direction. On the right, you can see that the knobs are a little closer together, especially the side knobs. If you look much closer together, you can see that maybe that would help in the cornering in the woods and not break away as fast, just because of the spacing of the blocks. These tires are the same, 120, 90, 18, and you can see that there is a height difference there. I tried to get the tires as in the same spot as possible, but you can see there's a height difference, with the 81 being slightly taller than the 82, and my dad said he didn't really notice that while riding. So if you're curious about that and the height of your rear end, you should be okay switching from there. And other than that, I did not test these two tires, so maybe in the future we'll get a test going. But today's video is more about the AT82 versus the MX14. Alright guys, I just want to say thank you for watching. I really had a lot of fun with riding both of these tires. Thank you to Dunlop, thank you to all my sponsors. For reference, by the way, AT82 front tire. So if you're curious about that, that's what I'm running for front. Other than that, please go check out my links down below. My website's down there. Everything, bars, foot pegs, tires, everything that I run is down there in a written review. Please go read those. I put a lot of time into that, and I really enjoy that. So please go look at that. My dad's bike in the background, he was testing tires as well, so thanks to him. But yeah, please go check that out and check out my links, and thank you to my sponsors. See you guys in the next one.